Hello, everyone. Katie Schwing here with the Will Committee for our third installment of our Women-Owned Wednesdays mini-series, where we take some time in the month of March to showcase just a few of the many wonderful women in our community who own their own businesses. This week's guest is Kirsten Gjesdal. Kirsten opened the Carrot Seed Kitchen Co. in June of 2015 and more recently Honeycomb Gifts in October of 2019. Kirsten is also the owner of the historic building that the Carrot Seed is located in. She's active on a variety of community boards and events. She grew up in Sioux Falls and moved to Brookings for college in 2009. She is married and has one daughter who will turn 1 in April and 2 dogs. She enjoys cooking, eating, traveling, and gardening, and describes herself as driven, engaged, and a dreamer. Kirsten, thank you for joining me today. Can you tell us a little bit about the Carrot Seed and Honeycomb Gifts?
Yes, absolutely. So the Carrot Seed opened in 2015 and it focuses primarily on things that you would have in your kitchen. So that covers everything from pots and pans to utensils, knives, towels, as well as lots of gift items like candles, cookbooks, fun foods, that kind of thing. And then Honeycomb Gifts is located one block down, and that opened in 2019. And we try to focus on kind of modern gifts for women. So things that you'd actually want, including books and candles again, funny socks, scarves and handbags. We have fresh flowers from Hand Tied Floral. So lots of good options there too as well.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Can you tell us what was it that made you decide to start your own business?
So I was working on campus and I liked my job, but I felt pretty unfulfilled. I felt like I had a calling to do something bigger and kind of just felt a need to do more with my life. I needed to give back and be more engaged in my community. So that's kind of where the idea for the Carrot Seed came about. I really like food, obviously eating food, cooking food, talking about food. And so opening a kitchen store was just kind of an obvious choice for something that I'm passionate about that also aligns with something that the community needed. So,
Awesome. What has been your favorite thing about owning your own business?
um, I would say the freedom that comes with owning my own business. And so when I say freedom, I feel like I have to put a little like asterisk above it, where I heard a speaker once say that entrepreneurs get to pick which 23 hours of the day that they work. So while you have the freedom, but so how I would describe it is while it is sometimes time consuming and you have a lot of responsibilities, at the end of the day, everything that happens in the stores is something that is my decision. I had the freedom to make the decision to lead to that outcome. So that also means I have the freedom and the choice to change it as well. So that's kind of, it's freeing to know that you are totally in charge of who you're hiring, the kinds of products that you're carrying, stuff like that. It's nice to be in charge like that.
Definitely. And now to segue, what has been the hardest thing about owning your own business?
Um, so it's this like separation of self from business. So I think when the Carrot Seed first opened, I kind of defined myself by the Carrot Seed and defined the Carrot Seed by me. But we are two different separate entities. So I have my own thoughts and feelings, and the store serves its own purpose as well. So I think kind of the older I get and the more comfortable I get with being a small business owner, the easier it is to kind of separate them. But it does yeah, so that's probably the part that I don't like the most is it's hard to separate yourself from your store. It's such an extension of who you are as a person, so kind of separating those can get kind of mucky in my head.
Yeah, I can imagine. What are some unique challenges that you believe females might face owning a business that perhaps a man wouldn't?
So you mentioned earlier, I just had a baby in April, which was a really complicated time to have a baby in the first month of a worldwide pandemic. But that's a challenge. And that's a challenge for any woman who's having kids, but especially is difficult when you are the owner of a small business, but fortunately have a lot of really great staff that helped me kind of pick up the slack and take care of things while I was gone and had a chance to rest and recuperate. Yeah, so that's been really good. And I think probably the most challenging thing about the business was when I started, I opened the Carrot Theater and I was 25. And so people would come and walk in the store and be like, oh, can I talk to the owner? And I'm like, that's me. Like, I think people definitely didn't expect a 25-year-old woman to be the owner of a small business. And so it just kind of had some awkward situations where I got asked more times than you would ever expect. So what does your husband do? Within like the first like 2 minutes of meeting someone, which like, I don't understand how that's pertinent to a kitchen store, like what my husband does. Like he works a normal person job. Like, why is that important to the conversation? So, but I feel like if it was a man who owned the retail store or a small business like that, the first question people would be asking them would not be, so what does your wife do? Like, like, I don't know, it's awkward. But I think that I'm older now, that I'm a little older and more confident in my role in being a small business owner. I can deal with those kinds of questions a little bit easier and just avoid them in the first place. But yeah, that was pretty awkward and definitely something that I think only women kind of face.
Yeah, I can imagine. You mentioned a little bit about how your life changed when having your daughter. What are some things that you do to balance your work life and your home life?
So I think that is an interesting question, because you had just asked what are some challenges that women face. And I feel like that's a question that men probably don't get asked very often, is how do you balance your work and life? Like, I don't think my husband has ever been asked that question. But I don't think it's a question we should stop asking women. I think it's a question we should also start asking men. So I balance it by working on integrating the two. So my daughter's home with me like 3.5 days a week. So I'm working during nap times and I pretty much always have my phone glued to me so I can answer questions, and I'll put orders in like on my phone. So it's important to note though that the stores have gotten to the point where I've been able to hire people to do the roles that allow me to be home to watch her. And that was just through a lot of work. Like when the stores first opened, I was at the stores 60 hours a week, being the only person sometimes that was working. So that was very challenging. So I'm very glad that I have the people working for me that are working for me. They are fantastic and amazing, and I'm thankful for them every day. And they're a big, important key piece in how I can balance being a mom and having stuff going on in my personal life, as well as being a business owner. So good people, that's how.
Thank you for sharing. My last question is, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to start their own business?
Tell everyone. I think when you have a business idea, it's really scary to have it. You kind of want to hold it to yourself and not tell anyone about it. But I think telling other people is super important, because you tell this person and they say, oh, talk to these 2 people. So you talk to those 2 people and they say, oh, talk to these 3 people. And all of a sudden it just like builds this big web of support in the community. So by the time you are ready to launch, you have a bunch of people who know that you're working on this project, that are cheering you on and that are ready to show up and support you in whatever way they can. So I think that is definitely something that people should do when they're thinking about starting their own business. And on a more practical, probably standpoint, I use credit cards for most purchases for the stores, and I have racked up a lot of credit card points. So if you want to spend wisely and trust yourself with credit cards, we have gone on quite a few different trips by just using credit card points. So that was a little practical tip, that if you are thinking about opening something that is expensive, like a retail store, credit card points are your friends.
Yeah, leverage that spending for something
Yeah.
fun. Awesome.
Yeah. But tell everyone if you have an idea. I know it's scary, but you get a lot out of learning from other people. So don't keep it to yourself.
That's great advice. Well, I thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today, and we appreciate everything that you've shared.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.